Buckle up, boys and girls, because class is starting and it's going to kick your ass. This is the Prepared Mind.
I talked to a student recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she's required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
Did we tell you or did we tell you? I think we all knew it. We all saw it. It is, folks, SHTF, and it's a wacky, wacky Wednesday. There are real issues out here, and then there are all these crazy, stupid distractions. And then there's things that are both. It's not only stupid, it's a distraction, and it's all SHTF. Let's start with this. Let's just start with some wackiness, if we shall. Oh, welcome back. If you're at thepreparedmind.club or subscribestar.com, you are here live. Or you can just check in whenever you want, but you certainly get premium access Monday through Friday for $2 a month. $2 a month. Only $2 a month. All right. So, distraction, or is it War of the Worlds that's coming? I think this is a distraction, but it was released today. How very interesting is this? That at Harvard, they have a study that suggests something quite out of this world. But wait a minute, isn't Harvard one of the schools? Yeah, they had a diversity, equity, and inclusion president who plagiarized, stole other people's work to get her doctorate. Eesh. And they've got a bunch of these anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, murderous, pro-Hamas scumbags running around. So I no longer give Harvard the gravitas that it seeks to have. Now, that said, Harvard, relying on its name, released a study that suggests that UFOs and their alien pilots may belong to a stealth civilization living on Earth. I just found this wacky, and it's certainly SHTF worthy. I mean, and this is nothing new. Harvard did not, folks, plant a flag on this topic. They did not plant a flag on this topic. The notion and concept of there being not aliens from outer space, but aliens from this space and place. And it goes back not just to Harvard. It goes back through all of human history. We can start with, well, some more recent discussions about this and belief systems, right? A stealth civilization. Number one, just a few years ago, the discussion was there's going to be a breakaway civilization off of Earth, people who can afford to buy their way into some spaceships and just leave and just take all their technology with them and say, F you to the rest of us. After all of us, through all of our hard work, have created this wonderful planet. So that's very recent. You can go back to World War II, folks, where the Nazis escaped to secret bases under the ice in Antarctica. Nazis, folks. We know all about Nazis. Right now, the Nazis are in Ukraine, too. But the secret ones have been living under the ice, developing their technology as a breakaway civilization, a stealth civilization. And another stealth civilization was discovered by Admiral Richard Byrd of the U.S. Navy, who explored the polar caps, both Arctic and Antarctic, and claims to have flown over and been introduced to a civilization. But then after that, didn't a series of alien or UFO type ships fly over Washington, D.C. in sensitive airspace in, I think, 1953-ish? Right. And if you get away from America and go back in history, all civilizations have talked about there being gods in flying vehicles with enormous power to affect weather, to affect all manner of military damage. And why would they want to have anything to do with us anymore, right? Anyways, wacky SHTF, folks. Are they going to try telling us, Well, it's time for an alien war. I tell you what, we already have an alien war brewing. The mainstream media and alternative media says, look, Boston's Logan Airport, it's starting to look like a refugee camp. Right? You don't have to live like a refugee. These people could have stayed in their own countries, but they came here as illegal aliens, folks. And every single American who travels has seen this crime that is being committed by the White House by flying these people into our country and dumping them inside the airports, bringing worthless criminals here. That's right, they're illegally here. That makes them criminal. Criminal, illegal aliens. And I can say those words because this is America, Jack. So F you, Mayorkas. And we need to keep being loud and yelling in these people's faces, folks. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton smashed. Let's go Brandon Biden. Smashed his overreach with respect to transgender policies in schools. Ken Paxton beat him, defeated him. Right? Schools nationwide don't have to do what Biden wants. They can do whatever they want because they're the states. Once again, folks, the government, the federal government is very limited on what it can mandate and push. Now it can say, hey, look, if you don't do what we say, we're going to take our money back. Good, take your fucking money back. We don't want your money. All it does is buy what? More drag queen story hours, more pedophile anal sex books for kids. The whole thing is sick. Right? Wow. Washington, folks, can be defeated. So be loud. Demand more action like this that Ken Paxton, the Attorney General in Texas, has done. Support real patriots like Ken Paxton and others, and non-government patriots who are fighting. And on election night, I want everyone to do what you can to stop Democrat cheaters from cheating. Go to your local precincts and ask, how can I volunteer? How can I help? And ask them, how can I make sure nobody cheats, whether they're Republicans or Democrats? Because we need to hold all of these people accountable at every election poll station. See, democracy isn't just a word. It's a process. It starts with someone registering to vote. And then you go to the polling place and vote. You check your name off on a card. Those votes are counted. They're sent to the state. The state says, okay, all of these precincts have turned in their votes. And then they make an announcement and certify the vote. Right? It's a much more complex process. But if Democrats control who counts the votes, and then they decide which votes get counted and which votes for Democrats get counted 5, 10, 20 times. Accountability, folks. We need accountability, and we, you and I, can make it happen. And we're seeing this more nationwide. Accountability. Arizona, folks, a political committee at the Arizona government level is going to try and impeach their attorney general. Not a good attorney general like Ken Paxton, but a lousy, stinking Democrat attorney general named Chris Mays, because she abused her power, she neglected her legal duties, and she committed malfeasance while in office. Now, in this great state of Florida, where the bunker's at, right, Governor DeSantis removed a state attorney, not the attorney general, but a state attorney who had done just that, malfeasance of office. Right? Dereliction of duty, I think, was what he got her with, for being a scumbag and allowing crime to happen, abusing their power. I love it, folks. Accountability. You and I have been calling for this for a long, long time. In fact, up in Washington, D.C., they've been trying to get criminal contempt charges against Merrick Butlick Garland. They do. In fact, representative from Florida, Anna Paulina Luna, wants to force a vote on Garlick's arrest. That is, if the Department of Justice fails to act on the criminal contempt resolution that Congress sent to the Department of Justice, naming Merrick Garland a criminal. The Attorney General is a criminal. Why? What did he do? He failed to perform and obey a congressional subpoena to produce evidence. Evidence. Unbelievable, right? Accountability. It has to happen, folks, not just at the state level, but at the national level. It has to happen and start somewhere, right? So I love that Anna Paulina Luna is going to force a vote. Congress can name him as a criminal and have him arrested. He's in Washington, D.C. He's in their jurisdiction. I mean, if Nancy Pelosi can tell the President of the United States, Trump, no, we're not going to bring in the National Guard, go pound sand. Sounds like Congress has a lot more power in Washington, D.C. than most had any idea about. That's right. Congress has a lot more authority, folks. A lot of authority, right? But the Democrats will tell you different. Biden's Gestapo Department of Justice doesn't want Merrick Butlick Garland to be held accountable. They say that the Attorney General has immunity, but Trump doesn't. Trump doesn't have immunity. See, the Department of Justice, folks, says Merrick Garland cannot be prosecuted for contempt because this is what they said. They said, we want to hear the audio of the investigator, special investigator, who investigated Biden. And Garland wouldn't let that audio come out because it's embarrassing. It is Biden's incompetency. Remember, we were told, well, Biden's a well-meaning guy, but he shouldn't be held accountable for his crimes. That's what Congress wants to know about. It's that bad. He's so bad that he doesn't understand what he's doing. So the fact that he broke the law, he can't be held accountable. That's what you say about someone who's retarded, someone who has an IQ that's very low, somebody who is a mental incompetent, a dotard, a dementia-ridden human. Unbelievable that they say he can't be prosecuted, but Trump can. So the Attorney General is more powerful than the president? That's what we're being told. Literally, that's what we're being told. Unbelievable, folks. It really is unbelievable what's happening in this planet. The left needs to be beaten back. And the thing is they are a bunch of smelly punks. Left-wing idiots. You've seen them. They've got their faces are full of holes. Everything is tattooed and pierced because they've got no life. They think that makes them special. They dye their hair pink, green, and any other variety of ridiculous colors. And then they wonder why no one will hire them. So instead, they try and make a living wage out of starter jobs. Jobs you should have while you're in high school or while you're in college or after you get out of college with a 4-year degree while you're waiting to be hired by someone else. You get a coffee shop job. You work at Panera Bread. You work at Burger King or Taco Bell because those are the jobs where you start out at the bottom and you don't expect to go buy a new car and buy a house and start a family on those jobs. It's starting out. But these left-wing idiots, unless they get to be the CEO of a major corporation, they're just not going to work hard. So they'll just go work at a coffee chain. Well, in Philadelphia, folks, the employees decided they were going to unionize, which means they were going to form a communist union and either strike and make the company go out of business or make the company give them higher wages, benefits, retirement, salary, etc. In other words, try and make a career, high-paying job out of serving coffee. Now, you guys know I love my Cafefe coffee because I'm a deplorable kind of guy. Cafefe coffee. They sponsor the show by giving me coffee. I put in the little K-cup. I get a cup of coffee. I don't need some pink or purple-haired moron to charge me $12 for a coffee so they can get a wage that allows them to buy a house. Anyways, back to the Philadelphia coffee chain, right? They had 3 stores in Philly. The employees voted to make a union. So the coffee store said, guess what? We're going to bow out. We quit, and they closed down all 3 coffee shops. And now those green and pink-haired ninnies are out of a job. Communism doesn't work. It just doesn't. But folks, these are the idiots. These are the idiots, the ones I just described. Thank you, Mr. Uman, for putting up cafefe.com. And that internet address right there will get you to their website. They're great people. They take good care of us. They make sure I've got an abundance of coffee for Mad Max, because you're going to want to be wide awake, alert, and have your taste buds tingling and dancing as you make sure you've got good sight alignment, sight picture, and you squeeze the trigger. You don't yank it. It's not your dick. You don't pull it. It's not your girlfriend's hair. You squeeze the trigger. All right. Anyways, these idiots at the coffee shops, they are the same idiots who are out there wearing masks, hoodies, wearing their ceremonial bullshit Palestinian headdress. In fact, here's an example of them. In New York City, anti-Israel, anti-Jew, pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist, pro-murder, pro-rape, pro-child killers took over a subway car, and they demanded that anyone that was on that car that was Jewish, they wanted them to identify themselves. And they said, this is your chance to get out. Folks, we're getting close to violence on a massive scale with these people. They are all over the country. We've got 10 to 15 million undocumented illegal aliens from around the planet, many of whom, not all, even though all are illegal, making them all criminals, many of them are terrorists, terrorist sympathizers from the very countries where our troops have been shot at. And we invited them into our country. No, we did not. We didn't. Joe Biden did. Mayorkas, head of the Department of Homeland Security. Don't you think they should make the Homeland secure, since that's his department? Instead, he's opened the border. In fact, Biden let out some bullshit fake executive order. We're gonna shut this border down. Well, no, what they did is they opened it up even more. That's exactly what they did. They opened it up even more. These illegals are pouring in, folks. Taking over subway cars, you bet. Taking over colleges, trying to take over the streets, you bet. We're getting close to violence on a massive scale. The Hamas creeps, folks, they're just going to creep back under rocks, back into their smelly little slimy holes if we start beating the shit out of them, just like Antifa, just like BLM, because they're the same people who support Antifa and BLM, the same members. They're masked, they're idiots, and they're Democrats, folks. Understand, these people want chaos in our country. I don't want it. I know you don't want it, but it's coming. It's coming. I mean, this is what's happening. In California, a homeowner, an elderly homeowner, that means a very old person who is slow and weak, they used a firearm, a gun, and shot the robber who was trying to break into his home. Old guys like, oh shit, there's a robber here. Blam, right? Well, guess what? The police show up and arrest the old man on suspicion of murder. He's defending himself from someone breaking in the house. He fears for his life. He's slow, right? When you're older, you're slower. I am slower than I was 30 years ago. I'm sure in another 30 years, when I'm 85, I'll be pretty slow, even slower than I am now, if I can live that long. This is crazy. Crazy, folks. But they're inviting him in, and they're being supported by these pink and green-haired ninnies and these soy boy fruitcake Antifa types. It's killing me. It's absolutely killing me. And I think, I'll say this, I believe that my prediction is probably going to come true. That Ben Carson, a black, conservative, Republican, American man, is most likely going to be the vice presidential candidate for the coming election with Trump. In fact, Dr. Carson said that he's going to meet with Trump this weekend. He's meeting with him. And that means, folks, you know what that means? That means all the rumors are going to fly. They're going to attack Ben Carson. They're going to attack his character. They're going to call him Uncle Tom. They're going to make all sorts of, shall we say, very humiliating and degrading comments about him. Anyways, folks, what a mess. Absolute mess. But wait, I have a lot more. A lot more. I tell you, folks, take a wild guess, right? Darcy T sent me this, that someone's been iced by Jim Jones Juice again, and it's an ice cream franchise founder. The franchise is called 16 Handles. Is that like 16 candles? Yeah, 16 Handles. The founder is dead, on ice now. Achieved room temperature, dead at age 44. And of course, the death was sudden. Wow, it was unexpected. It was sudden. It was unexpected. It was sudden. Age 44. No cause of death was provided by anybody. It's just a freaking mystery. We have no idea why someone else. Now, if the founder of 16 Handles is anything like Ben and Jerry's, it's liberal ice cream. And you know, when you're a liberal, not only do you get the Jim Jones juice, you line up and pay for boosters even. You know, because when one shot doesn't work and 2 shots doesn't work and 3 shots doesn't work, then hell, you just keep getting more shots until, well, either the virus dies or you die. Wow, folks, I tell you, it's completely awful out there. Awful, awful, awful. And I'm going to go with this. Once again, folks, the Pfizer files are thick. The Pfizer files are deep. Another super athlete down. This time, he's achieved room temperature, but not an ice cream star, rather a former NBA point guard. So point guards, folks, are not 6'8". They're not 6'10". They're not 7 foot. Those are the shorter guys you see out there running around real fast. So this point guard, Darius Morris, dead, age 33. Another super athlete down. No cause of death. I'm sure at age 33, it was sudden. I'm sure at age 33, it was unexpected. Just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now we're getting close to the end of my 30 minutes. I sure hope you have your questions down below in the comment section. Man will compile them. We'll hit your questions in the second half of the show. But I want to hit this story pretty hard. a school which asked its principal about free speech. Free speech, folks. They decided to expel a 7th grader and a couple of sisters, a couple of girls, 3 of them, because the principal made a decision to limit free speech. Well, what speech were they censoring? What speech were they silencing? Were they trying to stop drag queens from dancing and wagging their genitals in front of children's faces? Wait, maybe the principal didn't want the kids talking about other children being sexually assaulted in the bathrooms. No, that wasn't it. Maybe the principal thought it was a bad idea to have communist and LGBTQ flags in the class. No, that wasn't it. That's not what the kids were going to talk about. Maybe the kids wanted to talk about how they don't like having anal sex, cartoon pornography in their library and classrooms. No, that wasn't it either. This is why the kids were expelled, folks. Because they wanted to use the word patriotism. Children, young kids, 7th graders, expelled because they used the word patriotism. Right now, very quickly.
Have you any idea how successful censorship is on TV? Don't know the answer? Successful, isn't it?
That was Max Headroom from the 1980s. People back then had no idea how much information was being censored. Here we are, over 30 years later, and children are being expelled for using the word patriotism. Teachers don't want that word used. Teachers, administrators, school boards, they allow creepy, perverted freaks to talk sex change, gender swapping, anal sex. But the word patriotism is evil. It is so bad the children had to be expelled. That is part of the fight that we're up against, folks. That's how wacky these absolute idiots are. It's that crazy out there. Patriotism has the word riot in it, so it is obviously hate speech. Jeez, man, ouch. I had no idea. I've been saying the word patriot, riot, pat riot. And I didn't know that I was calling for insurrection, I guess. Wow. Fuck. Anyways, can you believe that? I remember, and I can't remember who the hell it was or what they did, but only one kid in my entire scholastic career. I love how teachers used to say, your career as a student. I was like, no, I'm a student to go have a career, but you don't have a career as a student. Anyways, these fucking people. One person got expelled. It was for doing something very, 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 very bad. Kids get suspended all the time for getting in fights, cheating, whatever. But to be expelled for a word that contains the word riot within it. But seriously, having books with cartoons of boys giving grown men blowjobs. These fucking sick fuckers. I tell you. So I got to just relax a little bit. I'm going to switch over to Hawaii. Hawaii, the beautiful paradise state of Hawaii. Did you know that crime is so bad in Hawaii now that at the beaches, the police, the government is telling vacationers, don't leave your valuables on your towel. Don't do that. Don't leave your stuff on the beach. Take your valuables and take them into the ocean with you, right? Get some sort of bag. In Florida, when we go fishing and stuff, you get this thing called a dry bag, right? It's waterproof. Yeah, they want you to put your valuables in a plastic bag and go swimming with them. No longer can you just trust leaving something on your towel. Crazy, folks. Now, if you remember, think back to the time of COVIDiots, and the Hawaiian COVIDiots told people to stay away. They went to the airports. They held up signs, go away, we don't want you. So people have now stayed away from Hawaii. There's not as much money for the Hawaiian people now because, hey, you guys didn't want us anymore. Idiots. So now there's not as much money. And everything that the Hawaiians need gets shipped to Hawaii. It goes from China to California or Portland, and then it gets on another boat and goes back to Hawaii. So everything they get in Hawaii comes from the U.S. mainland. And it costs them money. So they've got to send their money out of Hawaii back over to major corporations to ship things in ships over to Hawaii. So they get money in, and then they just send it right back out. But not as much money comes in. So now they're having problem. So now they want to steal wallets, watches, anything they can from vacationing white folk. And folks, I love Polynesians, Melanesians, Micronesians. I love Hawaiians. I love those people. But you can bet your ass that the dumbest amongst them, the Democrat criminals, they're now turning to this thievery along with the homeless people there, folks. Nice job, COVIDiots. You really helped yourself out there. What a bunch of assholes. Let's do this. Let's have the inner circle. I've got a fix for people who want to steal from other people. You guys are up next. Woo! Okay. We are back. Mr. Uman, let's have a little bit of fun on this wacky Wednesday. Where do we want to start? Let's start with James Nicholson. He says, good evening, John, and good evening to you, Jimmy. He says, what do you think about deporting the illegal aliens back across the border they entered across? It would suck for those coming across the east or west borders. You know what's crazy? Mexico and Canada would just have to suck it up. Well, here's the deal. See, this is where the trouble comes. Let's just say I knew the guy living down the street wasn't illegal. So I call up the new get the hell out of my country bureaucracy. And I'm like, okay, deport, the deport authority. There's this guy down the street. So they come down, they arrest him, and they say, well, how did you get here? He's not going to say, well, I walked through Mexico, or I caught a bus through Mexico, or I took a train through Mexico. You know, he's going to say, well, Biden flew me in. So America, us, we're going to have to pay to ship these people. They're not going to want to get dumped over the border in Mexico, much less dumped into the sea, James. So I think that, yeah, we're going to have to fly these people out. We're going to have to pay airlines taxpayer money. Don't worry, they use taxpayer money to bring them here. That's right. Biden used taxpayer money to bring them here into our country illegally. To me, that's facilitating an invasion and insurrection. He should be tried for treason. He should be arrested and tried for treason right now. Nope, not hearing anyone do it. All right. Anyways, yeah. But I think it's worth it to pay to get them the fuck out of our country. I mean, first they bring them into the country. And then states like Texas, Florida, had to pay money to put them on a bus or a plane and send them to New York City. Send them to Chicago. Send them to Philly. Send them to Cincinnati. Send them north. So now we're going to have to pay money to get rid of them. But in the short term, yeah, it costs us money. In the long term, it's going to save us trillions of dollars. Folks, we're looking at our country being burned to the ground. We're looking at terror attacks like you can't imagine and believe. And I'm sorry, I don't care who the you are or what country you say you're from. You're out at this point. Death to America, you're out. Right? You want to drop to your knees and face whatever direction, you're out. That's not part of the American culture. I don't care anymore. I've had it with these fucking people. They can scream and yell that Jews are bad. Whether or not you know the Talmud and you know about Goyim and all the other bad names we get called, and, you know, hey, death to America, you're out. I don't want to kill anybody, folks. I just want to get them the hell out. This country, the United States government, that is off its freaking rocker. Did you know that Joe Biden, that guy, the doddering old fool who craps his pants, chases children, he has now lifted the ban. He is now open to arming Ukraine's neo-Nazi Azov battalion. So now Biden is going to arm the Nazis. Isn't that special? Special. Just... Anyways, James, you got me started there. Thanks, man, very much. We've got more to talk about, folks. More to talk about, a lot to talk about. Get your questions below because you might come up with something that Uman knows we all need to hear about. So what do we want to talk about next from your side? And it's Uman himself. He says, Chicago, the great city of, is considering changing zoning laws to allow new coach houses, basement apartments, and in-law arrangements to accommodate the increased demand for housing. Where is that demand coming from? The illegals, you bet. And the fact that people cannot afford, folks, that's the other thing. Kids, or rather the children of full-grown adults, men and women in their 20s, in their 30s, and even their 40s are being asked to go home by their parents to help split costs. There are people in these age groups that are asking their parents, can we move back in with you to save money? So what is a new coach house? Ooh, man, is that a fifth wheel? Is that a trailer? No, what is a coach house, man? I don't know that term.
A coach house is like when you have a bunch of either a house or townhouses and you add a little single floor end unit to it.
Ah, okay, gotcha. Basement apartments, in-law arrangements to accommodate. Essentially, right, they want to add little, what's the word for this?
Well, they also wanted to add something about making like attic spaces, living areas, allow that, and all kinds of changes.
Yes, down here in Florida, they have they've been passing laws in a lot of jurisdictions to allow people to turn the garden shed into a house or to build a small, they call them ADUs, and it's to turn, and they're trying to regulate it because people are doing it whether they like it or not. So they want to regulate it. And so, man, if you turn your basement into a living quarter, they want to consider that improved square footage, raise your taxes. That's where this is all going.
Oh, absolutely. It's always about taxes. It's all about the money. And if they're getting flooded and have no place to put all these illegals, they need a place to put them. So what better thing to do than say, hey, you can turn your basement into a garden apartment and you can lease it out. And we'll tax you a little bit more.
That's what they're doing. Yeah. Got all these illegals. People can't afford it. Well, if you're an illegal, you get free housing and free food. But yeah, everyone else, you're screwed. So it's interesting that they want to change the zoning laws. They want to change the building department rules. How about that?
Yeah, there were also some stories in the news recently about like some guy who's been renovating a multi-tenant building for like the last 2 years, and everybody's complaining about him not getting it done. And all of a sudden, over a weekend, they go through and slap some paint on and do some other stuff, and all of a sudden it's full of illegals. So he made some deal with the city. He made a deal with the city where he's getting paid some obscene amount of money to just slap this together, make it barely livable to let these people live there.
Yeah, and that's how many of these people they're inviting in. It's creating housing issues, and we're paying for it every. Basically, they brought in 100% welfare cases by the millions.
Yep.
Just it's unbelievable. It is. Just.
Well, I got another one for you coming up, but we're gonna get to Heidi and Chin Music first.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Thank you, Mr. Uman. Chin Music is on the way. What does he got to say? He says, John, I am waiting patiently for one of those puke breath miscreants to touch me without permission. We will begin a full-scale reassessment of their quality of life going forward rather abruptly. Okay, man, I want to know what prompted you to make this statement. Yeah, wait patiently, man, but it's going to happen. Puke breath miscreant could be one of the fruit salad toss and dingbats, or it could be one of these illegals who are entitled and screaming and yelling, or it could be someone else who thinks that, well, conservative Americans are weak and therefore they're in the victim class, easy to be made into a victim. So meeting someone like you, they'd probably get to reassess their quality of life, what type of food they're going to eat that doesn't require teeth, maybe the quickest way to get to their job with broken legs. I get it. Now, I am not glamorizing violence, nor am I suggesting anyone do anything harmful or dangerous. But people like Chin Music here, people like Chin Music have had enough. A lot of Americans have. They're starting to fight back. They're starting to get loud, scream and yell. The silent majority is best to not be silent. So the idea was with the silent majority, folks, which is a political notion, comment, statement, characterization from 40 years ago and more. They felt that they could just vote their way out of trouble. They wouldn't have to say anything. They would just vote as the silent majority. Well, being silent, right, that's not winning. No more silence. Now it is time to give them hell. Give them hell, Chin. Anyways, I want to know what prompted this. What happened that made you think this way and make this statement? Yeah, inquiring minds want to know. Thank you, Chin, very much. Mr. Uman. Oh, yes, here we are. Chin says people are getting increasingly more aggressive. And what I think he's talking about are people on the street, the puke breath miscreants, as you referred to them, I think is an accurate statement. These green-haired, purple-haired, pink-haired morons, these tattooed up freaks, these hoodie-wearing ghetto scumbags. Yeah, they'll just walk along the sidewalk and punch somebody, mostly white women, in the head. Also Asian men and women, especially the elderly. Democrats, of course, it's always self-defense, Chin Music, always. And it should be always. I also believe in self-offense, right? If somebody is threatening me, I have a right to defend myself. But, best defense is a good offense. Now, again, I'm not glamorizing violence, but I'm saying you can tell when you're about to get your clock cleaned. So it's best to take action, evasive, put yourself in a defensible position, and, make sure you don't lose. But, yeah, we've got people violently attacking people. Panhandlers, beggars, bums are violent. A lot of these kids play the knockout game where they'll just blindside you, punch you in the side of the head, knock you out, or hit you with a bat. They'll gang up on you now these days. And I've watched numerous fights where a single man can battle 2, 3, even 4 thugs and win. Very impressive. You know, at my age, doing those sorts of things is difficult. But I imagine if I knew that if I was going to lose, I'd be probably hospitalized and worse. Because once they get you on the ground, they kick you dozens of times. That means broken ribs, internal bleeding. You're going to die. You know, they can kill you doing these things. That's who these people are now. That's who the left wing is. This is what BLM, Black Lives Matter, showed the world. This is what Antifa has shown the world, that these are the type of people they are. You, me, we need to be prepared, folks. We need food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and you need self-defense. Whatever your self-defense tool is, you need it. Whether it's a knife, a taser, a chemical gun. That's right. They have pistols that shoot pepper balls, chemicals. Right. You need to be prepared and then also situationally aware. And I watched a video, and I watch a lot of this stuff to see what people are doing. I watched a man standing next to his vehicle, filling it up with gas. Completely normal function. Well, one guy walked around the back while another walked up to the bumper, and they beat the shit out of this guy. 3 guys showed up and beat the hell out of the guy. Beat the shit out of him. Stole his wallet, stole his keys, and stole his car. And they beat the shit out of him. It wasn't just I'm holding you up, give me your stuff. That's what I expect to happen when one of these puke breath miscreants decides to lay a hand on me or just basically get aggressive or stand within 5 feet of me. Right? The moment that happens, I'm prepared to defend myself, to deflect and block blows or accept them and counter punch, counter kick. And I've been watching, folks. It's getting worse. And I think Chin Music is right. I don't want to scare people. I don't want people to be afraid to go out. But you just need to be prepared. Because if you're not prepared, you are going to be victimized. If you are prepared, it's amazing what just yelling at someone can do. Right? If you show them you're not a victim, right? They start giving you attention. You scream at them. And you just scream, hey, I see you, right? You let them know you're onto them. They'll go find an easier target. But it starts there with being loud. It starts with being aggressive yourself. Protect yourself. Protect those around you. All right, Mr. Uman, who has himself dealt with some of these puke breath miscreants. All right. Heidi says, John, does Congress have an enforcement group to go get these people? Wake them up at dawn and drag them out? Yes, they do. In Washington, D.C., Congress has an incredible amount of police authority, policing power. The Congress has a sergeant at arms. Remember that guy that shot Ashley Babbitt? Remember that guy? He had a gun in Congress. In Congress, he has a gun. And they protected him, and they hid him, Mr. Bird. They hid him. They have not fired him. They have not relieved him of duty. They have not taken his gun and his badge. They haven't exposed him. They haven't allowed him to be sued for wrongful death. I don't know why he's not being sued. I'm not sure why he isn't being tried for crimes. Now, Washington, D.C. will go outside D.C. and arrest somebody and drag them back into D.C. and then charge them with these crimes. That's what the FBI is doing. So, yes, Congress and Washington, D.C. can arrest bureaucrats, agents, officers, government officials for, well, criminal violations of the law. Wake them up at dawn. I don't care. Get them at a restaurant. I don't care when and where. Pull them off of out of their office, their congressional office, their bureaucratic office. Arrest them. I think it's a fine idea. They do. They have an incredible amount of authority, especially within Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has decided it doesn't need to abide by the Bill of Rights. For the most part, they ignore it and just say, well, we're Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. When we have exclusive jurisdiction, we're going to do whatever the fuck we want. We're Congress. Crazy times. Thank you, Heidi. And thank you for the nice messages, as always. Always puts a smile on my face. Mr. Uman, where shall we go next with the world of ideas? Right here, doing stuff with Nikki. How about that? Hey, Nixter. She says, I was astounded this morning. And when you're astounded in the morning, it can hurt sometimes. She says, I pulled into a parking lot this morning. There was a guy laid out in the first spot in front of Woke Bucks. I mean, Starbucks, she says. I'm seeing so much more of this lately. When you say laid out in the first spot in front of Woke Bucks, laid out in the first spot, you mean like camping in the parking spot? Laid out like someone knocked him the hell out? I see you there, Mr. Uman. In the first spot in front of Starbucks. And Nikki, I believe, is a fellow Floridian. And yeah, it's becoming more common. Everywhere. Everywhere. I believe Florida has passed a rule, though, that says no camping in public. Can't do it. No tents in parks, no camping in public. So this guy at Starbucks, he should have gotten a parking ticket on his forehead. That would have done it right there. All right. Matt, way back in California, my roofing contractor. I hope you're doing well, Matt. Sent me a message just now. Thank you. I hope you and the family are well. And Matt was a great friend and ally back there, along with Russ and all the other guys. I guess if I don't name the names, right, here we go. Fighting off and keeping these fucking scoundrels out. What a world, folks. Oh, by the way, I had to get some food supplies. Publix, get this, man. Publix had Spam, buy one, get one today. Buy one, get one Spam at Publix down in Florida. Folks, you can't live any better than that. Well, the cashier, I went by the self-checkout and I told the cashier, I said, you know, the more you guys tell people to use that, you're going to talk yourself out of a job. And this was a young lady in her early 20s. And she had something on the ball. She says, actually, no, I'm not. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, those machines over there don't take cash, but my cash register does take cash. And I said, so we're going to have a debate here. I go, well, what about the move to go to cashless system and CBDCs? She goes, no, CBDCs are illegal in Florida. And I was like, you have been paying attention, young lady. It was very impressive. I had a good time with that one. And buy one for the price of two and get a second one free. That is correct. That's how that works. Buy one, get one. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I tell you, if it wasn't for the buy one, get one offers, I don't know if I could afford to eat. It's become an extreme mess here in America. I feel it every day. Now, what I did find fascinating also was Publix is a very popular food chain here, food store. And they had a sign out that said, we honor coupons from other stores. And the stores they mentioned were Winn-Dixie and Aldi's, I believe. I found that to be quite fascinating. Right, they are fighting for people's business, folks. They're fighting for people's business. It is not good out here. It just isn't. Anyways, I don't know if any of you have been following the WNBA, which is I don't know why they don't call it, why they call it the Women's NBA, WNBA. Shouldn't it be Front Hole NBA, Mr. Uman? Front Hole NBA. Anyways, I think they're a bunch of racist idiots. Why not call them racist, folks? Well, basically, the WNBA has told millions of potential fans of their basketball league to F off, right? The officials that made the decision of who goes on the women's basketball Olympic team, basically, they banned Caitlin Clark because she's good and white. That's my opinion. I think this is racist. I'm going to call racist. I'm pulling the racist card, right? And then, folks, not only did they say, you don't get to be in the Olympics, then they lied to the Americans about, well, Caitlin Clark's experience and her skills in international basketball. Said that she doesn't have any experience with international basketball. In fact, right, they lied. She's got a shit pile of experience playing on international basketball tournaments. In fact, she was the MVP of an international basketball tournament because she's Caitlin Clark, really good at basketball. I still wonder. She looks a little masculine, but it's basketball, men's basketball, women's basketball, hockey, football, baseball. It's all woke. I say boycott all sports, but this is an extra woke move. And I think it drives the point home that these people hate you. And they want you to pay for money to buy a ticket or pay-per-view or buy their movies that are going to be nothing but propaganda and anti-American misery in message. Why are we going to pay for it? Why am I going to support it? Why would I sponsor it with my money? I'm not. I don't care that Caitlin Clark, the greatest women's basketball player ever who just came out of college and owns the WNBA, even though they're fouling the shit out of her and physically abusing her, saying, well, this is the big leagues. If you want to play football, play football. And that's why I didn't get into basketball. As a Marine, I didn't even want to be on the basketball team. It was just, I wanted to play basketball, not get punched in the stomach the entire game. If I want to get punched in the stomach the entire game, I went and played rugby for the Marine Corps. And that I did. Second row. Ouch. But yeah, if you're going to play that sport, play that sport. But all of these sports, they're just sports. But they're now being used as a springboard to finance and make a public spectacle out of wokeness and anti-whiteness and anti-law and order. Crazy stuff, folks. Crazy world. Doing stuff with Nikki says, yep, laid out, sleeping on the asphalt. Well, it may have been a good idea. Well, I know you're kind of a dainty, small person, but somebody could have picked him up by his ankles and drug him off into the bushes. That would have been a fine move to do. And that's just incredible. Sleeping on the asphalt. Crazy. There's just, wow. It's happening, folks. Hopefully Florida continues to keep itself cleaned up. Oh, here we go. Message in a bottle. Thank you for checking in and asking this question. Have you seen any Russian subs poking out of the water near you? The answer is no. The Russian subs are over on they're over there by Miami, and I'm not near Miami. I'm way north of Miami, but they're kind of down there offshore, about 65 miles. I think it's international waters. Is it after 25 or after 50 miles? In any event, the Russians are out there doing their drills, during their missile drills, doing their drills, and the U.S. Navy and the Canadian Navy are very closely watching and monitoring. I think it's a distraction. I think it's teaching Washington a valuable lesson. that you want to screw with Russia over on their border, then why don't they come over here? I would probably crap my pants if I saw a Russian sub. Be like, damn it, get those Russians out of here. Well, they have every bit as much a right to be offshore 65 miles, I suppose, as any other country. You know, Russia has just as much right to put nuclear weapon missiles in Mexico or Cuba or Venezuela or anywhere else they want. Who is the United States of America to tell them where they can and can't put their missiles? If Russia can't say, hey, get the hell away from our country. It just puts us closer to the day of doom. All right, everyone. Hey, chance favors the prepared mind, but we've got a wild guess. Before I get to that, thank you, man, for stopping me. A new fungal sexually transmitted disease outbreak has been exploding this month. It has a new name. Trichophyton mentagrophytes type 7, TM7. Original name was rhymes with funky fox. Right? If it rhymes with funky fox, why don't we just say the name? I don't know. Anyways, folks, Trichophyton mentagrophytes. That's pretty fancy. I guess if I was in the market for getting an STD, I wouldn't want that one. I think a lot of these diseases that are going to come out, folks, they're not going to affect me or you if you are healthy. And by healthy, I mean you've taken good care of yourself. And you have detoxed yourself. You've made sure there's no spike proteins in you, right? You didn't get, hopefully, the Jim Jones juice. And I know a lot of people got tricked, roped, threatened else, and they've got it. But hopefully you've done everything you can to detox and remove that shit from your body. Bad stuff. But I think people who got the shot, the Jim Jones juice, got the boosters, the boosteroos, they're going to be the ones falling apart. Now, I remember, folks, and I'll part with this. I remember 2 years ago, all the Democrats, all the Karens, all the government officials, all the bureaucrats saying things like, well, I guess in 2 years we're going to see who's dead now, aren't we? Yeah, we're seeing it. We're seeing it. Enjoy your monkeypox, left-wing fruitcakes.